Welcome to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you are ready to find your inner magic, develop great habits, and a rock steady mindset to feel confident, comfortable, and fit in your body, you are in the right place. I am Kim Barnes Jefferson, and I'll be giving you weekly doses of health, fitness, and life tips sprinkled with humor and real talk. If you're ready to be consistent without the stress of perfection, magic makers, it's time to slip into your favorite pair of PJs, grab some coffee, kick back, and listen to today's show. Hey Magic Makers, it's this week's iTunes review. Amy W. Fitness says, Kim knows her stuff. Keeps it real on all levels. 5 stars. Awesome podcast series on relatable topics that women deal with. Kim's advice, along with her sense of humor, is what everyone needs to find their fit girl magic. Well, thank you so much, Amy W. Fitness. That warms my heart. If you haven't yet left your review, please head over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and hit rate. And then hopefully it's a 5-star hint and leave me a review. Thanks. Hey, Magic Makers. Welcome back to another episode. So last solo episode, I introduced you to a woman that I refer to as Faye. All right. And she's finding her people, Faye. And Faye, she's the woman who's got hundreds of Facebook friends, but no one she feels that she could randomly text on a Tuesday to grab a cup of coffee. And if you missed that episode, definitely go back and give it a listen, because over the next few episodes, I want to weave all of these different personas together. And today I want to introduce you to another woman. And these women are, over the last 20 years of my coaching, these are women that I've encountered, right? I've put them into 4 separate buckets. And Faye was the first one we talked about. And we now have a second one that we're talking about. And I call her Burnt Out Brenda, right? And if you are in the hustle and that's your middle name, it would be hers, right? Brenda feels fine, totally fine, even though she hasn't really slept since 2009. You know, she cries at random commercials and really can't remember the last time she sat down and didn't feel guilty, but she's totally fine, right? And, you know, right now I'm running a free experiment series called Feed Up Summer. And every day I drop one tiny experiment, nothing dramatic, right? No meal plans, no crazy workouts, just a way for us to make health feel easier instead of harder. And one of the experiments that we did was really simple. Sit still for 10 minutes. That's it, right? No phone, no TV, no podcast, no folding laundry while you're relaxing, just sitting still. And I want you to be honest, right? I just said that to you. Did anyone were like, oh, hell no, right? Could you do it? Or are you already thinking like, woo, 10 minutes. And then you immediately start thinking like of all the things you would be making. Would you be making a list? Would you be wondering like, oh, did I answer that email? Should I email that person? Did I, what am I having for dinner? Did I book the flight, right? If that's happening, congratulations, you are Brenda, right? Here's the thing. To Brenda, that feels really responsible, like irresponsible to just sit for 10 minutes. Like, I got shit to do. 10 minutes of sitting, girl, please, right? But imagine if you're just sitting in front of this beautiful sunrise. You're listening to the waves crash. You're watching gorgeous flowers around you in a garden, feeling a nice warm breeze. But she's not actually there. She's already mentally planning the next thing, the laundry, the pickups, the drop-offs, the dog food, the mammograms did she schedule, right? While sitting on that beach, sitting in that garden, her brain is still at work. And I know this woman so well because I was her. For decades, I was the overachiever, right? I was the one who's like, I got shit to do, so step aside, right? No one, if something needed organizing, hey, That's me. Someone needed to remember every detail. Hey, that's me. I mean, still to this day, people will DM me or text me and they'll be like, hey, Kim, do you remember so-and-so's name? Or do you remember when we did such and such? And I'm the girl who's like the memory keeper, even though sometimes I feel like I have a shit memory. But for certain things, I remember. Don't ask me like the 12th president because I got nothing on that one. Let me ask you a question. At what point did our lives become this giant game of productivity Jenga? Somewhere between driving your family here, there, and everywhere, the endless piles of laundry, remembering everything for everybody, and literally being there for everybody. A lot of us Gen X ladies, we got really good at managing our lives, but we forgot to participate. And it didn't happen in this big, dramatic, table flipping, Real Housewives moment. It was a little bit quieter. We thought connection meant I liked your Facebook posts, and fun, well, that's something on my someday list. And then that someday list kept getting longer and longer and longer. So I created a short quiz. What part of your life have you been blowing off? And it's to really help you understand where in your life we need to take a little bit more rest. Where do we actually need true connection? Where do we need to have a little bit more fun? And maybe just feel like you again. So head up into the show notes and click the link for this free quiz. And then do me a favor. Tell me what showed up for you. If I needed to squeeze in one more thing that already felt like an impossible schedule, of course I was going to sign up for it. And here's the part that no one warned you about, right? People praised me for it. I don't know how you do it, right? You're amazing. You do it all, Kim. Every compliment was like a paycheck, a checkbox, a pat on the back to keep grinding, keep crushing. And guess what? I kept cashing that shit in. Like that was my whole identity. Being the girl who got shit done, right? I was like the queen of the hustle. That was my I don't know if you've ever gone to a baseball game. If you go to a baseball game, when the batter is up, they have a walk-up song. That was my walk-up song. My walk-up song is I'm a hustler. That was me. And I was like, I wore that like hustle, grind, like a badge of bleeping honor. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped being a person who hustled. It wasn't something I wanted to do anymore. I was tired, right? And if you ask me how I was doing, I would tell you like busy, girl, busy, right? How many of you, when someone says, hey, Sharon, how are you doing? Like, oh, busy. So busy. Like that was just like my whole answer, right? And so even in the grind, something in the back was whispering, but guess what? I kept producing. I kept achieving. I kept proving, kept going that endless giant to-do list in my brain. Return the Amazon package, call the doctor. What's for dinner? Did I text? And I had like 73 tabs open in my brain, but constantly kept saying I was forgetting something, right? I was like, all of them were like, all those tabs are so loud and so open. And like, but my mind was like, I can't anymore, right? I had this low level anxiety that I thought was normal. Like I didn't think I was anxious. It was just like, this is who I am. And I never would have described myself as that person. And I just thought, this is how like hustlers and grinders live. They're always achieving, they're always producing, they're always, proving I deserve the spot that I'm in. And I do remember that, like the moment like perimenopause showed up, right? And for me, perimenopause, like some people are like, am I in it? What's happening? Like my perimenopause didn't knock. It literally punched me in the face. And that low level hump that I couldn't put a name for, it stopped being quiet. My sleep was crap. My brain was like on overdrive all the freaking time. Everything I did felt harder. And the one thing that I would always like worked for me, the grind, the push harder, just stopped, right? I just like my body was just like, we can't outrun this, right? We need to sit our asses down and figure this out, right? Because that is and I'll be honest, if perimenopause didn't come at me like a punch to the face, I probably would still be living that life, right? And that is what cracked me wide open. And if Brenda were an iPhone, She would wake up every day at 18%. Like, I don't know, like I have an iPhone, and like my phone regularly tells me like low battery mode, like halfway through the day. But imagine waking up with low battery mode all the time, even though you've plugged yourself in overnight, right? I just never actually had a chance to recharge, because even though I was trying to shut down in my sleep, I was always like, one more thing, bedtime, girl. What was that? Right. And now I know this is why my body gave me the finger, like why my hormones went crazy, because I had built my whole identity around productivity. Without output, I had nothing left to give, right? I felt that if I was the person, if I was not presenting you with this checked box, this list of accomplishments, this list of things I achieved, why even get out of bed in the morning, right? So here's what I want you to hear. And it's a bitter pill to swallow. Trust me, I've swallowed it. It's big. It's one of those big horse pills. Girl, you are not lazy. You're not behind. You're not, bad at time management. Maybe you are bad. Maybe you feel you're bad at time management because you're trying to do 500 things in 5 minutes, right? I know that I'm guilty of that. But you spent so much time in the hustle that you forgot that I was underneath it, right? I was underneath like that pile, like it was like a pile of rubble, and I was digging my way out of a task earthquake, if you will, of my own making, right? So now you're like, yeah, I'm a Brenda. Let me say this, right? In almost 20 years, I've never met someone who's just 100% that persona, right? Like me, I'm I'm a recovering overachiever, but I'm also a little bit of a fae, right? I'm that friend that, like, because I was so damn busy fostering friendships were a little challenging for me, because were friendships productive, right? And it's just kind of how you start to position this in my crazy little brain, right? And then, I have two other personas that we'll be talking about over in the next couple of weeks, but like, maybe I'm a little bit of a Tammy, need a little play more in my life, and maybe I'm a little bit more of an Iris. I'd need to, actually spend some time wandering around and like actually enacting some of the plans I have already made, right? And the question isn't which one of them are you? The question is, which one is driving the bus right now? Right? Because you've heard me talk about seasons, right? And we all have different seasons in our life. We all have different seasons that we're in. And, seasons, I know we all want them to be this like nice this little square box that you can like check. And like, maybe seasons don't last 90 days like, the seasons in nature do. Maybe, your season is a 6-monther. Hell, it could be a 10-year. Like my hustle season, that was like a decade. That was a decade long season before I got crashed out, and my body basically told me I needed to sit my ass down. So, as you listen to this, right? And if you haven't listened to Faye, go back and listen to her. But for you, Brenda might be driving the bus right now. Like she might be the one who's like, I'm in the driver's seat. Everybody else sit the bleep down, right? And for someone else, it's like Faye could be driving the bus, and Faye's like, God, I would love to have a coffee date. I would love to have someone to play pickleball with, or mahjong, or just kibitz about my day with, right? Or maybe you're Tammy, who's like, you know what? I don't think sitting and enjoying a pickleball game would be a waste of time. Or Iris, who's just wondering like, wow, I've had all these things on my to-do list, and I've just never, ever took the action. They've always been a someday I'm going to get to this, right? And no, that's exactly why I created a quiz. Not to put you in a box, but to help you understand what your life might be missing a little bit of right now. And before, I wrap up this episode, I want to go back to where we started, right? Remember that little experiment I talked about in the Feed Up Summer? The one where I said, could you sit still for 10 minutes? I would love for you to try to do that this week. At some point, like there's no deadline. I want you to just kind of like, for my planners, I want you to like look at your calendar and be like, could tomorrow morning you park your booty down for 10 minutes, or afternoon or evening, whatever is going to work best for you? Could you just sit, right? And maybe it's you go outside and you have a cup of coffee on your porch, or you sit at your kitchen table in the quiet, right? Before everyone else wakes up and the morning starts to like, kick off. Maybe you sit and you watch the sunset. You're not taking a picture of it. You're just taking a picture of the sunset, or just listening to the birds, or just, us midlife women looking at the birds and be like, what kind of bird is that? Right? It's like, just notice what happens. Like, are you sitting there? Are you finding yourself trying to list make? Right? Are you finding yourself like, kind of bouncing in your seat because you're like, it's only been 30 seconds and you're like, I've been here for hours on end. I mean, I know how that's how I feel when I'm on cardio. I'm like, I've been here forever. And you're like, girl, you've been here for 2 minutes. Sit your ass down. Right? Do you feel like I want to pull out my phone? Right? Do you feel guilty? Right? There's no right answer. This isn't a test. It's just information, right? So that we can kind of start to be like, where am I? What's going on with me? Because if sitting still for 10 minutes feels harder than your workout, that's a sign, right? It's like, oh, maybe this is something that I need, right? And if this episode made you say, yeah, girl, I think I'm Brenda, take the quiz. What part of my life are you blowing off? The link is in the show notes. And I'd love for you to figure out what persona is driving your bus right now. And after you do the 10-minute experiment, I would love for you to let me know how that felt. Like, reach out to me on Instagram or any of the social media platforms and just tell me like how it went. All right? I genuinely want to know. All right, Magic Makers, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you've made it this far, yay. I'm thinking you enjoyed the show. Let's continue the conversation on Instagram. You can find me at Kim Jefferson Coach. In order for me to keep sharing this message, do me a favor and leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss an episode. New episodes are available every Wednesday. The Fit Girl Magic podcast is intended to provide you with tips, tools, and strategies that will help you make better decisions about your health. I really appreciate your feedback and your support. Thank you so much.